Hey everybody, Dr. Mike Sevilla here, reporting from the DoYo Live Marketing Conference here on the campus of Youngstown State University. You can see the welcome sign back here, and I'm speaking here today, and was able to chat with some people here as well. So go to doyolive.com. You can also follow the conference at #DoYoLive. I hope to be chatting with some people, recording it, putting it up here on social media. So hope you're able to check it out, and we'll talk to you all very soon. So first of all, thanks for coming. So I know there's like 15 other sessions going on. So what Sean and I are hoping to do is to give some healthcare love to DoYo Live. So I know we asked this before, so it's people's first time here. So what part of medicine, I presume you're in healthcare, that's why you're here. So what kind of industries are you in? I know I heard long-term healthcare, audiology.
Hospitals selling to the EMTs.
Okay. Anything else?
Banking, so insurance.
Okay, that's cool.
Different twist.
Okay, great. So what we hope to do is to kind of share kind of our story about medicine and digital marketing and social media. So we've kind of both did this ourselves. We're kind of like one-man team. So there's we don't work with anybody, which is just us. So just to kind of start out with my story here. So I'm a graduate of Youngstown State University. So I'm born and grew up in this area. So my parents are still in the Boardman-Canfield area. I went to Cardinal Mini High School. So it was very exciting last year to come. I spoke last year as well. So to come back and just kind of tell my story of medicine and social media. I own a practice down in Salem, Ohio, so people don't know where that is. So it's about 40 minutes south of Youngstown. So I'm in a practice with 4 other family docs, primary care practice. We're not owned by anybody. We're still independent, going against the man. And we have one nurse practitioner there. I've been there 15 years now. So I practice out of Salem Regional Medical Center, Salem Hospital there. So I've been there for a long time, but I'm a local product here. So kind of my social media story is that I started in social media more than 10 years ago, and I started out in kind of an anonymous blog. And if you Google me, you'll see Dr. Anonymous was my kind of initial moniker. And so what I did back then is, and the culture back then was that I kind of vented about how frustrating it was to take care of patients in our broken healthcare system. And I wanted to bring the reader into that. So I did talk about patients, which I don't recommend now. I vented about insurance companies, attorneys, all that kind of stuff. That was the culture back then. As I saw people kind of get caught, being fired, getting in trouble, then I started drifting away from that. And so now I just blog as myself, drmikesevilla.com. You can see that up there. And you can see, on this slide here, so that's my father there, and he's a retired surgeon, and I graduated from Neomed, so that was a special day for us. And then, so that's kind of what I do now, is that what I write about now, and what I write about and why I do what I do are mainly 3 things, and I'll get that in a little bit more detail, but briefly, I do patient education on social media. I dispel myths, and I also do advocacy. I do advocacy for primary care, and I really believe that every American deserves a family doctor. So I'll get to that in a little bit here. And I will let Sean introduce himself, and then we'll really get into the meat of this talk.
All right, so once again, my name is Sean. For those that haven't figured it out, doctor, nurse practitioner. So Mike and I actually met online many years ago, back when he was blogging as Dr. Anonymous. I was actually blogging around the same time as also someone anonymous. I didn't have a moniker like he did, so I went through a couple phases and a couple names before I finally revealed myself. And over the years have developed a bit of a voice, just like Mike has. These are some of the things that I currently do. I do a little bit of everything online. I'm a speaker. Big surprise. As Mike said, I have a Facebook fan page, which is down there on the left-hand side, a meager following somewhere in the 8,000, 10,000 fan range. I also have a podcast. I'm a co-host with 3 other nurses, and we do a nursing podcast. I have a growing YouTube channel, and of course I have my own blog. I don't actually blog through my website. I blog through the original blog that I created back in 0506 called My Strong Medicine. So, a little bit about me. We already talked about it real quick. This has been a continually growing thing for me, and it's turned into a little bit of a untamed animal, and it's very exciting. Back when we started doing the blogging and the online activities, there weren't a lot of healthcare, personnel online. It was a little bit taboo. That's why everybody started out anonymous. We were afraid of saying things that might get us in trouble, and sooner or later it did get some people in trouble. Up on the top left is my original blog, super exciting. And then down on the bottom, as Mike had talked about, he started out as Dr. Anonymous on, this was Blogger, and I think I was on WordPress. For those of you who have no idea what those are, don't worry about it. Just platforms you can utilize to create a blog. And I started blogging sort of the same reason that Mike had, for a little bit of a different reason, is that when I became a nurse, approximately 15 years ago, it isn't what I thought it would be in any way. So you have an idea what a nurse does by watching television or talking to people or maybe seeing them in a hospital. And then you actually apply and enter nursing school, and then you have a culture shock of, whoa, that's not what I thought this was. And then after you graduate from nursing school, there's an even larger culture shock, which we call the slap in the face, that there's all these crazy things that start happening that no one ever talked about in nursing school. And I decided that I can't be the only one that is experiencing this crazy stuff, and lo and behold, I wasn't. 10 plus years later, somehow I became a veteran at this. Somehow I'm teaching others how to do it. About 5 years ago, I opened up into Facebook and the Facebook fan page world. About 2 years ago, I started sprouting into other social media channels, and things have grown a great deal. I have spent no money whatsoever. I haven't done any advertising, no Facebook ads. All of my revenue comes from Google, thank you, from my YouTube channel, as well as affiliate marketing through my blog. I don't spend any money. I don't have a team. I am a solopreneur, just like everybody else. And about 3 plus 4 years ago, I had the opportunity to jump into the video world. I was always the person who could type up a great blog post, and I had an opportunity to be part of someone else's YouTube channel. And it was a very scary and uncomfortable thing for me to do, to go from behind the screen to all of a sudden being in front of the screen. And it was a very eye-opening, educational, and exciting experience. All of a sudden, people went from just reading about me to seeing me and listening to me. Now they could relate to me in some way. I went from being this persona behind a screen to an actual human being that they can relate to. I got addicted to it. It got really fun, and it's a lot easier than managing a blog or managing a website. And nowadays, the technology that we possess has made it even easier. So now I kind of like doing videos. The top screen is just me being myself, and then the bottom one is actually one of the programs you use to edit videos. And there's, I think, 20 plus videos there, and if you were to go back into my computer, you could scroll through, I think, probably 6 or 7 screens. And if you can do math, you can imagine how many videos that turns out to be. Accidentally, I decided to start doing videos every day, and it kind of spawned out of the same concept when I started blogging. There are things out there that I wanted to express, things I wanted to share with other nurses in the online community. One thing led to another. 3 months later, I realized I had posted a video every day. 4 months later, I'm still posting videos because I still had things to say. 6 months into it, I kind of was married to it, because if you're going to do it for 6 months, you might as well go for the year. So last year, I posted a video every day for 365 days. And I did that while I was still working my full-time job. A year later, I've posted over 500 videos, random videos on random topics. And let's see, I know that we already opened this up once. This is just a snippet.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Daily Sean. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sean. I do a daily video on something related to nursing. No, there's no rhyme or reason. Probably not going to change. Today's topic is, just like the title sounds, 5 absolute nevers in nursing. This is once you graduate for all the students out there, and you're walking the walk and talking the talk. If you haven't learned these 5 nevers, you can thank me later. 5 nevers in nursing. These are things you never, ever, 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 never, never, ever, never, ever, ever, never, ever, never do. 5 nevers. Number 1, this is the most popular one of all. Never saying the Q word. What's the Q word? The Q word could mean anything. The Q word is the word that nobody says. There's not a nurse out there that actually will say this word out loud. I'll be happy to write it down for you, but I'm not going to say it out loud because that just throws the whammy out there to whoever's actually working right now. We don't say the word ever. Okay? Never say the word. That's what...
So, as you can see, I keep it very serious. So I found out through my sarcasm and snark.
I would maybe put a little bit of quiet in context for people who are not clinicians about what that all means.
So the short version of that video is I talk about 5 things that you never say on the clinical floor, and one of them is saying the word quiet. Because usually what happens when you say the word quiet, it's kind of like saying the word bomb on an airplane. All havoc breaks loose. It goes from technically being quiet to being the busiest place in the world. You start getting admissions, patients start circling the drain, start getting sick, all of a sudden their condition changes, you have a patient fall, a million things happen at once. And it's just an unspoken rule, and it's a joke that you learn through working on the clinical floors, and it's not exclusive to nurses because I have physicians that can attest that this is a word just don't say in the hospital. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't even want to say that in your office.
Yeah, so the joke is, so it's the night thing is going on, like, oh, the hospital's quiet tonight, and then boom, that's when everything happens.
So, and the point I'm trying to make here is that this video was made randomly. I had no plans to do it. I came home after a visit with the family, and it just kind of was like, I'm going to talk about 5 things that nurses should not do. And as you can see, I don't know if you saw the video count on that particular video. It's been viewed almost 450,000 times. And I did nothing other than sit in front of the camera and tell a funny story. So I got their attention. Something that we all are striving to do. We're trying to get their attention. And that's the name of the game here. It doesn't matter what your end result is, you got to get somebody to stop and pay attention to you. So I have some way for them to stop scrolling. And everybody knows what I'm talking about, scrolling, right? Because we all live and die by the phone now. So somehow I grab their attention. This is just data. We'll just do this real quickly. Basically, this is the year of the video. For anyone that's in the marketing world, anyone that is paying attention to the online world, the video is the way to go. Opening remarks this morning, when we did the video, the live Facebook Live this morning, video is the way to go. Some of the most astronomical numbers here, I'm not even going to go into it, but video is going to account for 74% of online activity for this year. And this data is actually a little dated. I got this data at the beginning of the year. More data that is also dated. With the most important thing is the Instagram and the Snapchat data, also very dated. There was an article that just came out yesterday that Instagram stories has only been a year old, and it's already surpassed Snapchat in all of the data points that Snapchat has accomplished in 6 years. So Instagram somehow has figured out how to get people to pay attention, and I'm not even going to try and explain the details of that. And the astronomical number is that Snapchat is now 166 million versus the 250 million on Instagram. So if you are not on video, if you are not utilizing video in some way, shape, or form, you're missing the boat. The disappearing story. This is where Instagram's genius comes into play, is that they didn't reinvent the wheel. They simply, we can say it, stole a great idea. They took everything that was great about Snapchat and they copied it, and they took everything that was bad or that was negative about Snapchat and erased it. So now everything that everybody loved on Snapchat they can find on Instagram, and then some. The great thing is that, the social media landscape, the social landscape continues to evolve. It's not what it was 10 years ago. It's not what it was 5 years ago. And the new generation now is also catching on to the HIPAA laws. Micah talked about at the beginning of the talk, is that when we started this game, we did not say things, we didn't want to be revealed. We didn't want our identity revealed because we were worried about losing our jobs. And now we have the disappearing story, which means you have a 24-hour timeline. What you said 24 hours ago is going to disappear. It's not permanent. There are ways around this with security and everything, and you have ways to go around and work around to this. But some people find a little bit of comfort in that and a little bit more security in that. And there is an article, we've left the link at the bottom here from The Guardian that was about 3 months ago, that there's particular doctors that are now using Snapchat to send patients some protected information. I would probably not do that if I were you. I would probably pay attention to what you're utilizing the disappearing story for. But as healthcare professionals trying to utilize social media to its fullest, you're definitely going to have to pay attention to your patient privacy acts. None other than the master at patient privacy and utilizing it appropriately is my partner.
So I've been teaching social media literacy to physicians for probably about 5 years now. And I've been talking all across the country, And the number one question, one of the top questions I get is, do I use social media to talk to my patients? I tell doctors no, 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 and no. Okay, I don't treat my patients. I don't do Facebook, messages or anything like that. I do not use social media for clinical care. Okay, and I don't recommend anybody using that. Now I know now it's very fascinating now because things are changing. They have this telemedicine thing that's going on. They have some sites that are password protected, where clinicians and their patients can communicate. I think that's fine. So, but in general, I do not tell clinicians, physicians to do anything with social media when communicating with patients. And one of the things I do in my talks is, one of the things I was interviewed probably about 7 years ago now, 2010. So I was interviewed by Medical Economics about this question: do you friend your patients on Facebook? Okay, that's still a question now. Okay, I talk to medical students about that. I talk to residents in training about that. I talk to physicians about that. And what I tell them is, physicians and patients have been friends even before this whole internet thing. People that don't know Salem's a small town. Everybody knows what everybody's doing. I go to church. I go to the store. People stop. Okay, so what my rule is, I'm selectively friend patients on Facebook. Okay. There's not a rule about that. A lot of physicians have a kind of comfort level with that. Some do, some don't. There's not any kind of rule about that, but you have to be very careful about the dangers of that. And we're kind of rolling through these slides because we're really excited about the Q&A session that we'll have after, because I know that that's why a lot of you are here for that. Okay. So what do I do? As I said, what I do is, I use kind of my digital medicine brand. I have 25,000 followers on Twitter, which I've built over the last few years. Doing a little bit on Facebook, not as much as Sean has. So, I'm kind of a physician social media pioneer, doing this for 10 years. So I have a lot of experience with this. So what I do with my brand is I tell a story. I'll have an example of that coming up in a future slide. I do marketing. Okay, I do market to patients. Okay, and when I make the case to physicians and to clinicians who always associate social media with their EMR that they hate, I don't have time for that. So I tell physicians and clinicians every day in my office, I have patients that come to me and say, Dr. Sevilla, we're here because we Googled Salem, Ohio, primary care, and your name came up. We went to your website. We saw the stuff that you do. We know that you do interviews for WKBN TV 27 here in Youngstown. We like what we saw. That's why we're here. So I generate business from my social media. It's kind of, a lot of people think it's fun and games, but I can show an ROI for my social media presence on it. Correcting misinformation, I'll get into that a little bit, and social media reputation. So the top reason why I tell physicians and clinicians why they need social media is because patients are using it right now. Patients are using social media, digital communication to tell their story. This is my friend Carrie Sparling. She's a patient with diabetes. Her blog is sixuntilme.com. The title of that is, that's when she was diagnosed with her type 1 diabetes. Okay? And why did she start her blog? She started her blog because she thought she was the only person in the world with her condition. And she wanted to reach out to people out there who had her same condition. And I go there, I don't go there to say I'm Dr. Sevilla, I go there to learn, okay? Learn what they're saying, okay? The main question, which I think is funny, the main thing that I learned is, how do you hide an insulin pump in a wedding dress? I would never have known that in all of my medical training. They go here, people around the world are going and learning that information. I have a video here that I'm going to show you and help make the case of why you should use social media to tell your story here.
The noise, you know the noise I'm talking about, that song that the pump plays when it has issues and it needs something, it wants to be primed or wants a battery or needs a hug or whatever it needs, that noise, that song is ingrained in my head. It's Pavlovian. I mean, I hear it go off and I immediately get angry. So I needed to switch things up to keep my sanity sane. So what I decided to do was to finally make use of the software. My first goal was to make a logbook, and like a real logbook, one that I look at on a week-to-week basis, not something that I jot down, feverishly in the endo's office. You switch pens that you're using and you try to like crinkle the edges of the paper so it looks like you have been keeping this logbook for years and it looks so tattered like a pirate's treasure map, but it's not. It's the logbook you started and finished while you were sitting waiting in their office. You know the drill. That was the first thing I did with the software. But the second thing I did, and this was the part that oddly enough was most important to me, was I got rid of that song. I wanted to change this song, but I didn't have the owner's manual handy because I just didn't have it out that day. So I went online and I Googled how to change the song in my Animus Ping, and lo and behold, someone on 2diabetes.com had the answer, so I read through the threads, and I was actually able to change it within just a couple of minutes, and there were all these other songs uploaded in there too, so now I have plenty of options for when the beeping starts to make me mad, and not mad in like an angry way, mad in like a lunatic way. My pump is now not just trilling at me, it plays 80s music, and that brings me great unadulterated joy. I love my new song. It's reignited my diabetes techno joy. So now I can change the song whenever I feel like it, which is important because when this thing beeps at you, you need to listen and you need to take into account what it's asking you to do. This thing is with me all the time, so it may as well be customized. It may as well be something that makes me happy. And it's up to me to take the steps to make it mine, So now my biggest concern is making sure that the ringtone on my phone and the spazzy noise on my pump are not one and the same, because otherwise it could get confusing. I don't want to answer my pump if it calls and, hi, how can I help you? Oh, sure, you're looking to speak with my pancreas? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not busy. Hang on. I'm glad there are ways to actually make this feel like it's mine and it's unique and it's special to me, because it should feel special to me. It's attached to me all day long. Puppy. Whatever you decide to call it. So Fur Elise is now forever banished from my home, or at least my pump, until I change it back. But at least I have the option, which is nice.
So why is that good? It's good. It's first person. It's her story. It's funny. People can relate to it. Okay? So I tell physicians and clinicians this all the time. you know? Because I know, there's a lot of docs out there, they never get a question on something like, does the flu, is caused by the flu shot? That probably never happens, But every year I have to go through that, okay? And, like a lot of other clinicians that probably run late, and say, I don't have a lot of time to tell you why it does it, but I can record on my phone, which is a great video camera device, put it on my Facebook page, put it on my office website and say, hey, the short answer is no, but the long answer, you can go to our website, I can give you links, I can give you resources about why it doesn't happen. Because docs, they talk about this 50 times a day. So that's how they can use social media for that. So I use it for marketing for my patients, as I talked about before. This is our practice. Been here 15 years. And patient education, okay? So there's a lot of stuff that goes along a lot. I just did an interview with our local TV station here in Youngstown about back-to-school immunizations. Go to drmikespell.com or my YouTube page, mikespell.tv, to look at that. It's been a great marketing thing for my practice. Correcting misinformation. Okay, there's a lot of docs out there who made their career because of Jenny McCarthy. Okay? Because it is my opinion that the medical establishment was not prepared 10 years ago to combat the misinformation of vaccines not causing autism. For many, many years, if you Googled vaccines and autism, you got a lot of anti-vaccine stuff. And it's taken almost 10 years, over 10 years. I still have fights with my patients about that. So now, you probably remember, the measles outbreak in Disneyland a couple years ago. That's what happened when patients don't vaccinate, when parents don't vaccinate. And the medical establishment was ready back then to say, hey, this is why we don't want this to happen again. So it's something I'm very passionate about. There's a lot of bad misinformation out there. I have a lot of patients bring in stuff to me and say, hey, is this accurate? And it opens a dialogue, it opens a conversation. And when I tell docs, the most important thing to them is their social media reputation. There's a lot of docs out there, and I said, hey, go to the computer, turn it on, go to Google, search your name, what do you get? A lot of docs think it's their, physician of the year thing, okay? But I tell them, it's stuff like health grades. It's stuff like physician rating sites. And a lot of docs don't know that patients are already talking about it, okay? So the short answer is, how do you start to correct that? From an anecdotal standpoint, I have docs make an account on LinkedIn, and then that gives them the correct information. I have a lot of docs say when I Google my name, it's an office I was, 3 years ago. So do that. There's some other things that you can do, but that's the number one thing I tell docs to do, to try to take back your social media reputation, your social media footprint, whatever you want to tell about it. I talk to medical students and also residents in training about this too. They need to do that. Because when you apply to medical school, when you apply to college, when you apply to a job, before they open an application, they do Google your name. I was chief of staff at my hospital. I was on a credentials committee, which means we give privileges to physicians at the hospital. That's what we do first. If there's something we don't like, hey, we can't be associated with you. Sean, close it up here for us.
Well, we're closing it up here. Why don't we, we're going to take a page right out of Deb's talk this morning. Let's open up to Q&A before we close it up here. Who has questions?
You said that your YouTube, you kept saying that, I'm not really sure how it started off, but do you think that your consistency or your content made it?
Content.
Content?
Content is king.
Still king.
Consistency matters. Mm-hmm. Consistency is important for the longevity of your voice and your goal, but the content is what matters, because if I have to choose between if I see you every week versus do I see crap every week or do I see something that's valuable to me, doesn't matter. So I'll tune in anytime you show up if it's valuable content. Mm-hmm. If it's humdrum stuff that I can find anywhere else anytime in the week, then it's really not going to matter. So, my shtick has always been my sarcasm and my humor. I don't tell a different story, but I tell it in a different way that for some reason is a little bit more memorable.
Now, YouTube is an extremely hard platform to break.
Yes, it is.
So what are some tips that you would say would break that platform?
Don't do what I did and do your homework first. Because everybody's out there on YouTube, everybody's saying the same thing. You need to find, pay attention to what the marketers are saying, do your homework with SEO, do your homework with pain points. What is the pain point out there that you have a voice for, that you have at least somewhat of an expertise on? And if you don't even have to have 10 years of experience, if you have any experience in some topic that is a pain point for a genre, then go for it. For instance, we talked about the patient Carrie who was diabetes. She focuses on that and only that, and she's an expert at that. Her content is king because of what she does. If you'll notice, she wasn't actually on YouTube for years. She didn't go on YouTube till later down the line. I would think about what problem were you solving? And YouTube is just one of many platforms. Is the audience that you want to speak to, for instance, mine was nursing, is physicians. Where are they? Are they on YouTube or are they on Facebook? Maybe you need to start on Facebook. Because I started on Facebook and then I matriculated over to YouTube. So, once again, don't do what I did.
And to kind of dovetail on that, I mean, I have a lot of doctors say, hey, we can't do all this. We can't do blogging, we can do podcasting, we can't do video. I'm like, I don't want people to do all that. I mean, you kind of have to, focus on one thing and starting out. And you don't have to create everything. I repost a lot of good stuff from other places. Okay, there's a lot of people that say you create your own stuff. You don't have to. This consistency that you're talking about, if you repost it from other places, I repost a lot of stuff from the Centers for Disease Control. They have a lot of information about infections, immunizations, that type of thing. And it's really, our experience is, just really focusing on your niche. What is your target audience? And focus in on that. People try to make this viral video. You can't. You have to focus on your target audience, generate that. Have this group of people, core people, and that'll be a great start. Yeah.
So from an organizational standpoint, you have multiple medical professionals and managing, you're talking about reputation management of an individual. From an organizational standpoint, how much control do you have over, you have 4 doctors, one might be highly active, the others may not. Is it okay to just take control and create their LinkedIn pages for them, maybe create a social media profile for them that is tied to the practice and not the individual? How do you divide the two?
Yeah, they'll probably thank you for that, for creating kind of that brand for them, because it does kind of filter back into the business. If you have that one person or 2 people that do that, that's great, because they can be champions for that. You can use that person kind of as an example for the other people who are kind of doubters about that. But for a corporation, at the corporation level, I would advocate. A lot of businesses do that. They create kind of their social media profile for that provider, and to do that, it's just who's going to manage that, how much time do you have, and what kind of content do you want to do it. But yeah, it's a very common practice for a corporation to do social media presence for those clinicians. Yeah, Nick?
This is something you might, but so with one of our clients, there's a nurse practitioner named Sarah who provides excellent service. And because of that, patients, word of mouth has gotten out there, and so people will Google her name, and it's actually showed up as like one of the top 3 referring URLs to their website. So that sounds really, really great, but the concern that we have right now is what if someday she changes practices or leaves? And so the question for you is, you're doing all this stuff online, what if someday you choose to move on or go somewhere else? Have you thought through what the implications of that are going to be as a physician?
So, and I will turn this over to Sean, because what I'm actually going to ask him. So what I've done for me is that I have promoted me, myself, and I, okay, primarily. And I tell an individual that in case they have that kind of situation where they move locations or move practices. So from an individual standpoint, I think it's great for them to kind of take hold of it for themselves. The corporation can't do that for them because obviously the corporation is looking after the corporation. So they have to kind of really manage that themselves. So I'll have Sean kind of share a brief story on what happens from the corporate end when they take control of your social media identity.
Oh yeah. So the short version is that back when I had the opportunity to start the video, I was then blogging for a company, an online company, and I've been blogging for them for 6+ years. All of my content was through them. They paid me a stipend salary.
It was owned by them.
It was owned by them. So business, my first business misstep was not reading the contract thoroughly. I was just excited to get paid. But the misstep or the education that I learned the hard way is that everything that I thought was mine was not mine at all. So when basically we had a difference of opinion, they let me go. They did whatever they wanted with the content that I had been producing for them for 6 years. So basically my name slowly disappeared. Even though I was the identifying face, the identifying name, and the identifying voice of their brand for greater than 5 years. So to this day, I still have people who know me or knew about me back then ask me about that particular company. So the company has the wherewithal and the power to just dissolve you. So you have to take it upon yourself as a clinician, as a healthcare professional, to create your own. You have to be the brand. You know better than anybody. You have to be your own brand. You can represent and you can be a part of a higher organization, but there should be some sort of separation so that if you do part ways, that it's not painful and there are no horrible legal implications. But ultimately, it doesn't hurt your online reputation either. You don't have to start from scratch. I literally had to start from scratch. My name disappeared. So I had my reputation from known associates, but my online name completely disappeared. So, yeah, I have a lot of really bad stories.
And it's taken you, what, 3 years? 2 years, 3 years?
It's taken 3 years.
To get your own reputation back.
It's a standing joke between him and I and a couple other colleagues that it's taken me 3 years of hard work, but I am no longer associated with that company. I have my own brand, my own online entity, and it's the best thing that ever happened.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's just, it's a challenge because on one end, the person wants to support a company. In the case of this client, it's not really any content that she's creating, it's the work that she's doing that's getting the traffic. But then we're wondering too, could you flip that and say, okay, if they were creating their own brands, could we put some protections up against that to try to prevent, if somebody moves on in the future? Because the digital agency answer to it is just set up redirects, right? Like redirect all those pages somewhere else, but that's not necessarily.
Yeah. Because I know you'll have a follow-up question. Yeah.
Well, one of our vendors, what they did, they require all their employees, now they're a corporation in business world, but all their employees have first name and the name of the company. And all the activity that they do for that company has to go through those pages. That employee leaves, let's say it's the Facebook page, that Facebook page comes down.
Right.
And anything tied to that company goes away.
Right.
So a lot of the individuals have their personal pages and then their company page.
Yeah, you see that a lot. Why I say that a lot is the news industry. So they change stations and then their whole thing goes on. So
we got the 5-minute call sign there. I would say quickly is that I would have that particular nurse practitioner identify themselves online as who they are and who they represent. That's the easiest thing to do. It's a quick fix, and it also will save you a lot of heartache later down the line. So at the end of the day, we're talking about building a digital medicine brand. Building a digital medicine brand is no different than what the marketers do online and what other professionals do online. At the end of the day, you're trying to get attention and you're trying to engage your audience and to get those 1,000 raving fans. And if for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the 1,000 raving fans, you can Google it, and it has to do with either wanting to sell a product, wanting to give a subscription, having something to give to someone else and have them purchase it, and having fans who, they don't care what you're selling, they're gonna buy it because they love what you do.
Yeah, and you can see like a picture here. So this is a photo. I know Deborah said don't do this, but you can't see this. But this is so this is a photo of me and some medical students down in North Carolina. Give a talk with them. So you know, as we said from the top here, you know, we've done this with zero budget. We don't work with people. We're kind of a one-man show. We've done this bootstrap-wise. We know a lot of companies, you know, have zero budgets. You can do it. Okay. You can learn from us. We've made all the mistakes in the world as far as trying to build your brand. So please reach out to us. You know, we're here to help. We love doing this. You know, we love, you know, the power and the potential of digital communication and social media. And any other closing thoughts you have?
No, absolutely not. Thank you all for, I think everybody stayed the whole time. And if you have the, you know, the speaker evaluation, please fill those out. Gotta put that plug in.
And finally, you know, what I've told Dennis, you know, is kind of like my wild and crazy idea is to build, you know, a medicine and healthcare track here at DoYo. You know, please reach out to us. We would love to have a whole track, you know, of healthcare speakers, marketing speakers, you telling your story, you know, and you know, us, you know, probably helping out a little bit with that, because we need to bring more healthcare-level marketing conferences. We need to, because you know, we market too, you know, and we need to reach out to our community here in Youngstown, Ohio, and in our region. You know, we have to look out for ourselves, you know, because no one else is going to look out for. All those marketers aren't going to look out for us. We got to look out for ourselves. So please reach out to us, drmikesewell.com, SeanDent.com. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for coming. We're happy to stay around, and we'll be at the after party tonight.
Yeah.
If you want to chat, you know, because that's where we know the real marketing takes place. At the after party. So thanks for your attention.
Thanks again.
Thank you.